I was always the one they overlooked, the silent figure lingering in the background. They weren't mistaken. I held my tongue while my parents exalted my brother, Daniel, as the family's radiant beacon. I stayed mute as they praised his success, his charm, his endless possibilities. I didn't speak when he claimed Clara, the woman destined to be my wife, as his own. But silence doesn't equate to surrender. Silence can be a sharpened blade, lethal in its restraint. I'll never erase the memory of catching them. Daniel and Clara, his hand resting boldly on her hip, her lips trembling with a blend of guilt and desire. When I told my parents, their response left me reeling. My mother's mouth twitched into a faint smirk, as if it were inconsequential. "It's still within the family," she remarked, while my father clapped Daniel's back, as if he'd won a prize. I stood there, discarded, shamed unseen. That day, my quiet nature ceased to be a weakness. It transformed into a calculated plan. I left the city soon after, reconstructing myself from the ground up. Law, finance, intellectual property. I immersed myself in relentless nights, shaping myself into someone they wouldn't know. When I returned, it wasn't for immediate retribution. I came back with Elena at my side. She embodied everything Clara only feigned: compassion, loyalty, bravery. She saw the cracks in my spirit and didn't flinch. Instead, she pieced them together, bit by bit, until I felt restored. When she revealed we were expecting a child, a glimmer of hope sparked within me. Perhaps I could finally release the past. But the past wasn't ready to let me go. We attended a dinner at my parents' home, intended to be a moment of celebration. I stood tall beside Elena, her hand gently resting on the subtle swell of her abdomen, my chest swelling with pride as I declared, "You're going to be grandparents." I expected hushed surprise, maybe disapproval. I didn't foresee cruelty. My mother's face twisted, her eyes burning with something venomous. My father's stare turned cold, and before I could react, my mother's hand struck out, hitting Elena's stomach. Elena staggered, gasping in agony, clutching her midsection. My mother's voice sliced through the room like a blade. "No! Daniel's child comes first. Get rid of it." The world seemed to tilt. My blood turned to ice. I pulled Elena close, shielding her trembling body from the people I once called kin. That moment snapped the final tether of my restraint. They didn't realize I'd been preparing for years, constructing my empire in the shadows, unnoticed beneath Daniel's dazzling aura. Every transaction, every investment, every contract was a strand in a web I wove around him. He thought himself cunning, using my company to mask his errors, signing documents without reading the fine print I meticulously crafted. Step by step, he handed me his empire, unaware of the snare. The night after that horrific dinner, I moved quickly. Lawyers, reporters, recordings of my parents' malice, their fixation on Daniel, their disdain for me. I had everything. I'd been thorough, gathering their hateful words, their insults, their unwavering loyalty to their favored son. I had proof of every loan they forced me to cover, every penny they drained from me to prop up Daniel's failures. I didn't need to destroy them myself. I only needed to let their own deeds unravel them before the world. The stage was set 3 weeks later at my parents' anniversary gala. Their lavish estate filled with investors, dignitaries, and socialites, all clinging to the facade of our perfect family. I entered with Elena, her quiet resilience shining with every step. When the speeches began, I asked for the microphone. The room hushed. Then I played the recordings. My mother's voice echoed through the hall. "Daniel's child comes first. Get rid of it." Gasps spread through the crowd. Whispers grew into murmurs. My father stood rigid, his face ashen. Daniel's fists clenched, as if he could halt the inevitable. Then came my decisive strike. I unveiled the documents, Daniel's signatures, his empire unwittingly transferred to me. He wasn't merely dethroned, he was obliterated. My parents, complicit in his schemes, saw their fortune, their pride, their legacy bound to a sinking vessel bearing Daniel's name. But the true twist, the one that shattered them, came when the doors opened wide. Clara entered, visibly pregnant, not with Daniel's child, but with another's. She had abandoned him, stripping away the last illusion he held dear. She stood beside me, not as an ally or confidant, but as undeniable evidence that even the prize he stole had forsaken him. My mother's face drained of color, her hands shaking uncontrollably. The crowd's murmurs turned to accusations. Frauds, failures, monsters. Daniel lunged at me, his fury erupting, but security held him back as he raged and cursed. My father tried to calm the room, but no one listened. For the first time, all eyes were on me, all ears attuned to my words. That night, I led Elena out of the mansion as chaos engulfed the house behind us. I didn't need to look back. I could sense their world crumbling. Daniel lost everything, his lover, his wealth, his reputation. My parents lost their prestige, their admiration, their legacy. They had wagered it all on their golden son, and I had reduced him to dust. Later, Elena asked if I felt remorse. I told her no. Vengeance wasn't my goal. Justice was. And justice doesn't shout or storm. It waits, patient and precise, and when it strikes, it leaves nothing standing. They always called me the quiet one. They weren't mistaken.